what's going on? Los Angeles, what is up, and welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LA Football Network, live on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio. Thank you all for hanging out with us, as always, making us a part of your commute. If you're in the car, if you're at home watching on YouTube, thank you. If not, make sure to go to Rams LAFB and hit that like and subscribe button. And obviously, if you're on LAFBnetwork.com, we appreciate you checking out all of our Rams coverage, as it is coming fast, wild, rampant. Offseason's in full swing. Free agency is kicking off Monday, but moves to already talk about. We're getting into that on today's show. Kevin Dotson locked up. We'll talk. Was it a good contract? Was it a good move? We have some differing opinions, so that'll be fun. Plus a look at some of the other positions of need as we go down. You know, we talked last episode about quarterback and some secondary stuff. So we'll talk about some other positions today as well to look at for free agency. But first and foremost, as always, let's welcome in my co-host, the man with the style, rocking the LAFB sweater logo today, looking good. I'm going to ask you about that hat in a minute because I'm curious what that is. But my man, Skinny T, how you doing?
Doing fantastic, man. So this comes from a local clothier, a little fashion designer, I guess we'll call him.
Okay.
We got Wile E. Coyote, and underneath that, "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right," which is a Bob Dylan lyric. It's spelled incorrectly. But yeah, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. So anytime there's a reference to it, I'm always attracted to that stuff. Ample Creative out of Echo Park is where they're located. So
look at that. That is
check
right
them out
up your alley.
if you're in the LA area. Yeah.
That is a true like Skinny T ensemble right there. Like that fits you. I like it there. I haven't seen it before. Is it new or you just haven't broken it out?
No, it's just in the rotation,
In the row. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
In the row. Good stuff. Well, happy Friday to you. Real quickly before, I know we chatted a little bit last night, but so you never got any of that crazy rain thunder by you yesterday?
We got some crazy rain, but yeah, there was no thunder out here. I didn't hear any anyway. It didn't rumble the house enough, I guess.
Dude, so I don't know where.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know where our listeners are located across the LA area, Southland. Obviously, we have listeners across the country. We thank all of you for tuning and hanging out with us. All Rams fans are equal, obviously, but for those of you in LA, I mean, yesterday was like beautiful, sunny. It was kind of similar to the day before when we met up on Thursday. Like it was sunny. Out of nowhere, these like dark clouds. I didn't even see it. I was working in my room office, had my shades closed, I guess. And all of a sudden, just this loud crashing thunder, which California, those that live here know, we don't get thunder. Like me and you grew up in the Midwest where thunder is pretty relevant. I moved here and I'm like, man, we get these rainstorms, but there's never thunder and lightning. I don't know if it just has to do with the ocean or what. I'm not a meteorologist, but last night, some wild thunder, and then the rain came sweeping through, downpour, torrential. Didn't last super long, but it was a solid hour of like rain and flooding. And you get everyone here in LA, we always laugh. You get like the emergency signs and signals, like don't leave the house, like flooding. And then now it's absolutely beautiful and sunny. So it was just a wild, like a 5-hour spurt.
Yeah, I was watching the State of the Union last night, and right afterwards, the local news came on and reported that there's hail down here as well. And I remarked upon it, and my roommate made fun of me. She's from Minnesota. She made fun of me. She always makes fun of me when I comment on the weather because I get excited when we have weather here. Any weather, I'm excited about. So don't rain on my parade.
Yeah, pun intended. It's a nice change. Yeah, I didn't watch State of the Union, but it was good to see our USC head coach made a nice recovery this morning. Lincoln Riley did not pass away. So that was good to see. And obviously that was trending all over, but that was all I saw of it. But anyway, real quickly, before we get in the show is always brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. Use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV, gets you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Hockey and NBA playoffs are around the corner, but still, 18 to 20 games or so of action. So plenty of stuff to get on. MLB is about to take off. Golf, we got the PGA Championship coming up, the Players Championship coming up. All that you can do on betonline.ag, promo code BELIEVE. Tell them the guys at the Rams Skinny sent you. Let's start
You've
with...
been on F1 over there?
I have before, not recently. What's the big rate? There's a... It's not Bahrain.
Yeah. It's Saudi Arabia is this weekend.
Okay. Is it Bahrain or Saudi Arabia? I don't know.
Bahrain was last week. Yeah.
Last weekend. Okay. There you
Yeah.
go. So
Go Ferrari.
there's a race every weekend. So, I used to be real into Formula One, and then the same driver wins every time. So I got over it. Got in NASCAR for a little bit, which was, a lot more parity in NASCAR, but it's NASCAR. So back to football. Kevin Dotson remains a Ram, 3-year contract, 48 million, 32 guaranteed, I believe is the numbers there. I'll let you speak more on that, but we get our guard. Me and you talked about it, and obviously courtesy of Spotrac market value, but we had said like he's probably going to garner 16 million, and sure enough, comes right in at 16 million a year. So I believe again, I'll defer to you, but like top 5 highest paid guards now in the NFL. I have some thoughts on it, but I'll toss it over to you first. Just your thought on the contract, your thoughts on him resigning, and kind of what it means for this Rams team moving forward.
Well, on one hand, I think it's a good move. He's a great guard. He unlocked the running game last year. You can go read my article. I've got some great details on Kyren Williams and how he, did much better when running through Kevin Dotson's gaps. And, I love all that. But this is a really rich contract for a guard. Like you said, he's the 5th highest paid guard. He's a $12 million cap hit this year. That takes a chunk out of that $40 million that they were working with. They still have a lot to do in the offseason to kind of get to where I want to see them. This is a move on the offensive side of the ball again. We love a good offense, but that defense is being held together by duct tape and gum. It feels like they're not investing it. They are spending the least amount of money on the defense in the entire league, 57 million. And, and Aaron Donald is taking 30 million of that. So of the 20 some players left on the defense, they're all making about $1 million, I guess.
Chump change.
But I mean, you gotta get some dudes on that side of the ball. And so it just worries me that, they're not going to have the kind of investment that I want to see on the defense because they've spent so much. And, you look at the top paid guards, left or right guards. Only one has made it to a championship game. The best guards don't win you championship games. You think about Leonard Floyd and Von Miller and Jalen Ramsey on that Super Bowl team. They were a big reason why they were able to get through the playoffs. The defense won them a couple of games that put them in that position to go ahead and win the Super Bowl. So, Quentin, go ask the Colts how what's it like paying a lot for a guard? How many championships have they won because of Quentin Nelson? So it's just a bit rich. I like the player. I think he's a great player, and I kind of stated his case as to why he's good and why he deserves this payday. But you got edge rusher to take care of, you got cornerback to take care of. You got to find a kicker. You got to renegotiate Ernest Jones' contract. You got to find a center still as well. So there's a lot of fish to fry out there. And I think this is a position where you can get by with just having a guy that's good enough, not having a top paid guy there.
Yeah. I'll start. I have 2 kind of concerns, and then I'll end positively. First, I think concern is what everything you just said, but just one aspect of it is the price. I mean, it is an expensive deal for a guard that was very, very, not just good, but great last year for the Rams and came in obviously cheap, was a throwaway from the Steelers, and came in and played very, very well and gave some continuity to this offensive line. But you're allocating a lot of money to a position that is important. Obviously, all 22 positions on the football field are important. Obviously, some are a little more than others, quarterback being one, tackle probably being one, and edge being one. But guard is a very important position. But that's just a very, very big number for a position that they literally found someone last year for pennies. And I'm not saying that maybe that was just some luck in there. Maybe that's a big credit to Coach Wendell, offensive line coach. Maybe it's a credit to, Steve Avila, Coleman Shelton, and how they were able to, just build that continuity across the 3 of them, plus obviously the 2 tackles. But yeah, I mean, it just doesn't leave you a lot. Now about 29 million left. I can't remember if you mentioned it before the show or right now, but they probably will try to restructure Joe Noteboom, which gives them a little more cap to work with. So you're looking at between 29 and probably go back up to 40 ish to play with. And we're going to talk about a bunch of other positions here in just a minute. But yeah, it does pigeonhole them a bit in terms of price. My other concern is, unfortunately, we see this story a lot. And I don't want to sound like I'm being negative on Kevin Dotson or anything like that, but we've seen a lot of times in NFL where guys in contract years kind of play above their weight, get the big contract, and then come crashing back down to earth of what their original kind of value was. Now, I think Wendell was a great coaching hire, so hopefully he can keep that trajectory up. We'll see how the draft goes with 11 picks. If they draft some young guys that push Kevin Dotson to keep that, Pro Bowl level. But we've seen time and time again, I'm not just saying with the Rams, just across the NFL, when a guy on the bubble has been subpar throughout his career, has in a contract year, kind of breaks out, gets the payday, and then falls back down to that kind of bubble player. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's just, a little bit of a concern when you see a guy that's been kind of what he has been his whole career, and then all of a sudden, boom, let's give him 16 million a year and make him one of the top paid players at his position when he's really only done it for, 17 games total, 18 games if you include the playoffs. So those are my concerns. The positive, obviously, is he played very well last year. And you want to go into the offseason or go into the draft at least with some known, not just commodities, but some continuity on the offensive line. One of the biggest keys, we talk about it a lot, is continuity on the offensive line. You can't just plug and play. It's not like running back where, hey, let's just plug and play guys in. No disrespect to Kyren Williams, but offensive line, you need to have a starting five that has played together if you want to have sustainability and good play. If you have the same five 1 year and then maybe you remove one guy and put a new guy in the next year, you can still have some success. But if you're going to be switching three guys out like a turnstile every year, it's going to be really hard to maintain any kind of, not just, decentness, but for sure dominance. And with the age of Stafford and kind of this last kind of run with this group of Stafford, Kupp, and Donald, they need to have some solidifying qualities on the offensive line. There's question marks already at center with Coleman Shelton opting out of his contract to test free agency. I know they would still like to get him back, but now that price they're going to be able to pay him has gone down. I can't see them allocating, 30 million to the interior line between three guys. Because Avila, is on a rookie contract, but still a decent contract for a second round player. So they're already most likely going to be in with a new center, whether that's sliding Avila over or whether that's a new starting center. So I like it that they were able to lock Shelton up. So at least you have some continuity there. So overall, I'm happy with it, even with the concerns, just because of the latter part I said. But definitely got to think about how to move the money now. So what is your overall happy, upset, uneasy? What's your overall, I guess, grade on the signing?
That's a good question. I have to defer until the Noteboom restructure is done. The good news for the Rams is he probably doesn't have a market if he does get cut. So I'm sure his agent is working diligently to keep him a Ram and keep him with a good payday. Yeah. So, there is a world where, Noteboom's cap is $20 million this year, which is probably the highest for he's best paid backup in the league right now
in the world.
So that's going to drop significantly, I imagine. He has a signing bonus of $5 million coming his way this year. So I'm guessing that's where negotiations will start for that. So I'm going to hold off, all things. If they get back up to $40 million with that restructure, I'm going to call this an A+. Yeah. I'll call it an A. I think it's still an overpay. And
but you still call it an A. Okay. That's good.
And if he stays at the level that he was in 2023, those are the two caveats that, keep it as an A. But this is one of the flaws of Les Snead is sometimes he overpays guys a little too quickly. And I think that this kind of smacks a little bit of an emotional decision from the McVay side of things as well. I think he was so excited to see his offense, looking the best it has. I would say since even before the Super Bowl run, going back to the Todd Gurley years. So Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility that this could be very, very bad. And there's a possibility that this could be very, very good. So, in other news, they did tender they're planning on tendering Alaric Jackson for left tackle. So he's going to bump up his payday. It looks like he'll be around a $3 million cap hit as well, but still a really good tackle for a good value there. So, in one sense, bad moves along the offensive line, contractually speaking. In other ways, good stuff. So, if the whole package works out, I'm happy. But man, you got to set up Chris Shula for success. You got to invest some money. Yeah. Skimping and just trying to get by on defense, like just from a fan's perspective, watching football, it's tough. It's harsh. It's not enjoyable. And Shula's a brand new DC, so let's get him some stuff to work with.
Well, and it's, a first time DC, it's a little unfair to, take out Aaron Donald and his contract and be like, all right, you have 30 million to field an entire defense like, as a first time DC. Like, it's a little unfair, and the expectations can't be very high if that's the case. So yeah, some restructures. Have you looked into, I haven't even had time, but Matthew Stafford's cap hit is 50 million this year. Is there an opportunity to restructure if they have already kicked too much down the line?
That's my feeling. I haven't seen anything that's in the works. I mean, that's definitely some room for savings. It's not going to happen with Donald. I want to get your take on the kind of the low-lying non-story Donald situation, but maybe we'll talk about it. But I don't think it's happening with Kupp. I don't think it's, I think they're kind of at the end of the rope with those top of the line guys. They just extended Higbee, and he's going to miss probably a good portion of the season with his knee injury. So, there's always money in the banana stand, as they say on Arrested Development, with the Rams, and they're always good about finding the coins in the couch cushion.
Yeah, and I just was playing with some numbers in over the.
You were looking really intensely, so I was.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing because I'm trying to listen to you and do this, but I think they can restructure Stafford and get it to where his cap number goes from 50 to 30 million, which, if they're able to do that and free up 30 million this year, because you got to think about it, he's got 3 years left on his deal. He's through 2026, which puts him at 39 years old, 40. This is his last contract. So, I'm sure Kroenke's willing to kick him a cash bonus that he can get at the end of his career and set him up, which, not that he needs it, but, if needed to. So if that isn't a true option, I think he'd be willing to be like, yeah, we need this for this, last, 1 to 3 year go around. So if that's a possibility, we'll look into it more for those listening. Apologize when it wasn't prepared on that. Well, as we get into free agency, we'll have something Monday as we kind of recap day one, and we can look at maybe some potential restructures as that. But it looks like on the surface, there is the ability to at least restructure Stafford, which, hey, they could free up 20 million there. That certainly helps. That makes things a lot nicer because you're looking right now as it stands. 5 players are taking like well over 50% of the cap between Stafford, Donald, Kupp, Joe Noteboom, and now Dotson, and Higbee's up there too.
Yeah.
And outside of Donald, like you said, none of those on defense.
Yeah, 100%. So Donald has some void years on his contract. There was kind of some trepidation that he might exercise those and call it quits or retire early or anything like that. Do you think? Are you worried at all about Donald leaving at this point?
Here's how it goes for me. He's under contract till 26, but 25 and 26 are void years. So after this year, he could void and either leave the Rams or, I mean, you can retire whenever you want, but be done with that. I think, and we've said this kind of a lot, like if they win this year, I think he'll hang them up. If they win the Super Bowl this year, I think he'll be cool. 2 Super Bowls with, 2 different kind of systems in place with 2 years in between. He'll be 34, 35. He's got 3 kids. I think he'll be good with that. If they don't win this year, but they're close, I don't know why he would leave the Rams to go to another team. I think so. Basically, to answer your question, he'll either be playing through the rest of his contract with the Rams or he'll retire. I can't see him voiding and going, even though there's like, oh, he played at University of Pittsburgh. Like, would he go to Pitt to end his career as a Steeler, whatnot? I'll never say never, but unless the Rams are just like abysmal this year, which no signs point to that based on what last year and now what they're going to be building for. So they're on a run to be great again. Like there's no way in my mind, like again, I'll never say never, but I would say like 99.9%, there is no chance he doesn't finish his career Ram, whether it's next year, 25 or 26. I think it depends how this year goes. If they win, I think he's done. I could see Stafford potentially be done. I could see Kupp potentially being done. I could see McVay potentially being done if they win this year. If they're, divisional round or championship round or even Super Bowl and lose, I think the whole band comes back because you can't get that close and then hang it up. And you can't get that close and leave teams when you're in it unless you're going to lose everybody. So I would say there should be no worries because they're only leaving if they win it all. So quickly, I want to get your thoughts, but if you're on radio, we got to take a quick break. So we'll be back right after this with some more Rams talk. But your thoughts on that?
After the season, he was on record saying that he's back for 2024 with the Rams, and everything that I know about him, I don't know him personally, never had a conversation with him, but everything I know about him, it seems like he's kind of a man of his word kind of a guy.
Yeah.
He's not going to go back on something like that. The Jason Kelce retirement, just kind of points out that even guys that are not in their accelerated age, not everybody's wants to be Tom Brady and push it all the way to the end. Yeah. And he seems like a guy that, really cares about his family, loves being, a dad and a husband and things like that. So, preparation for NFL seasons at such a high level that Aaron Donald is at, that kicks your butt to put it lightly. That's not an easy thing. And he puts himself through it every season and prepares himself. So, it's it's always unfortunate when your team loses one of your favorite players and just a dog and a great player like he is. So it's on the horizon and let's get on top of the grief. Let's not let this catch us off guard when it does happen, I guess is my only advice to all you out there.
Yeah. But are you do you think he retires a Ram? Or do you think there's a chance he goes somewhere else?
Okay. I don't. Going back to the whole man of his word thing, he's had opportunities to leave, and the lean years early on, could have been different, but he stuck with it, and he seems to be sticking. I think he's just going to stick with it.
Yeah, like if he would have left or asked to be left, it would have been after the 22 season. After they had that downfall, the injuries, the offseason, they're getting rid of everyone, Jalen Ramsey, they're cutting players. That would have been the year he's like, okay, let me go somewhere else. But the fact that he believed enough that they were going to get back on track, he's not going to leave now. The team's not going to, they're going to be a playoff team for the rest of his career here. Because I certainly don't see him doing another contract extension. I think this is it regardless. So 26 is like the last year. And it could be before that if they win or if he just wants to hang it up and be with family. But yeah, Rams fans need to, I think, get ready for that. But I wouldn't worry about him. I think a lot of people were worried he was going to void out and then go to Pittsburgh or something. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked. I mean, I've been wrong before. Obviously, we all have. But I would be absolutely shocked if he leaves what the Rams are doing and what he's meant to this team, what they've meant to him, to go play 1 year for another team. I would be shocked.
Yeah, maybe Russell Wilson will end up a Pittsburgh Steeler, and they're going to turn it around.
Yeah, I do believe Russell Wilson will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I said that over a month ago, not on this show, but before it was trending. So I started the trend, I guess. It just makes the most sense for him to go there. But
Rams Skinny, the most influential Rams podcast. Our tentacles reach beyond Ramsdom.
Yeah, I guess you're going to say the most influential NFL podcast now.
Now we're
entering different stratospheres, and apparently old guys too, or middle-aged.
Yeah. You're not middle-aged yet. 33 is not middle-aged.
Yeah, I feel like it's just the hair, man. I think it ages me like 8 years.
Big dad.
I bet people would guess I'm older than you.
Oh,
I bet listeners would guess that.
We've had that, yeah. I like to say you have big dad energy. So
yeah,
I think
I like that.
That just ages. You just have more authority. You have. your voice is yelling at kids' voice.
Yeah, The get off my lawn voice.
Yeah,
Am I on
exactly.
that realm now? Ooh, then I am old if I'm the get off my lawn voice. All right.
Free agency.
Free agency. The frenzy begins Monday the 11th. We'll have plenty of coverage for you here. Maybe we'll go live on Monday, Skinny. That could be fun. Maybe we'll just do a live show Monday, recapping if the Rams, if they do any moves. We won't go live. They don't do anything, but we haven't done a live Rams Skinny in a while, but tons of coverage on LAFBnetwork.com. So anyone interested, we'll have a free agency tracker there with all the news. So just bookmark LAFBnetwork.com. If you guys haven't bookmarked it yet, help a brother out. Go bookmark that, all of our Rams coverage. But let's talk. We definitely talked secondary last episode, but we gotta come back to safeties, and we won't spend a ton of time on it because we got other positions to talk about. But a lot of big name safeties have hit the market since we recorded last Monday. And man, this is a good. I mean, maybe not that they just spent $16 million on Dotson, but in terms of just positional need, this is a good year for the Rams to need safeties because you look at who's available, including two of their own in John Johnson and Jordan Fuller. There's some good names that could come in and make a big impact. Now, will they spend the money? Typically, they haven't been very spendy at the safety position. They did, if I recall, extend Tremaine Johnson years ago, right when they moved to LA. Trying to think back that long. And they did re-sign John Johnson to one contract before he went to Cleveland. And obviously, they brought him back for cheap after that. Or did they resign John Johnson, or was his just his one rookie contract and he left?
One rookie contract, then he left. Yeah.
Okay. So they haven't been very spendy at all on safeties. So will they now go spend big on one? Not likely. But hey, it's food for thought, and we can talk about it. Are there any safeties out there you want to see them go spend big on?
It's hard to say. It's so hard because the market has changed so quickly, and so many guys have come on. I was thinking about like more budget options probably just because they haven't invested at the position. And there's some really good guys out there, like just across town, Alohi Gilman.
There you go.
He had a fantastic year as well. Free, obviously we're talking free agency. He's a free agent. Budget, with the great thing about all of these top end guys flooding the market is it pushes the value of kind of the middle to late, second, third tier guys. It just makes them cheaper. It's supply and demand. The supply has gone up, the demand has not gone up.
Yeah.
So the benefit is going to be the Rams will be able to find somebody like Gilman for just a few $1 million. Now, if I was going to put a bet on this, I'm still guessing they're going to go late round safety and hope that once again it's a John Johnson or a Jordan Fuller.
Yeah. So here's my dream scenario: is no disrespect to these players, but because everything he said, I mean, the market dictates the value, and because there's now flooded with safeties, their market value is just all going down. So it benefits the Rams as an organization. Unfortunately, it doesn't benefit these players getting paid big. But because of that, I think they can get Jordan Fuller back for pretty cheap now. I mean, no one's going to go spend 8, 9, 10 million on Jordan Fuller when you have some of these top end guys available that will basically be getting that same, if not just a tiny bit more. So I think they can get Fuller back fairly cheap. And then I would go, this is just me, maybe it's the fanboy in me being a lifelong Broncos fan, but I would go and do a 2-year, 3-year deal and get Justin Simmons on this roster as a vocal leader on the back end. Here's a dude as a safety has led the league in interceptions since being drafted in the 3rd round as a safety. I mean, he's a ball hawk. He can play center field. He can play in the box. So he can really play anywhere you want him to be. Extremely versatile, and just his leadership quality is invaluable. I mean, what he's meant as a Bronco fan was very sad, not just for the type of players, but the person. I mean, he's so instrumental in the community, and I'm sure he'll still be involved even after he signs somewhere else. But getting a guy like that here in Los Angeles, I just think about what he would do off the field for this city would be great. Worth, if you're an organization that just wants to help your community, that alone I think is worth paying a guy $11 million a year. But just as a player, I think he adds a ton of value. And so you figure you can have him and Fuller as your back end guys with still great youth with Russ Yeast and Quentin Lake that are still kind of learning and coming up. But you have that vocal, strong leader in Justin Simmons. You have Aaron Donald in the front and Ernest Jones in the middle. All of a sudden you have a top tier superstar at every level. and they still need to add someone at corner. Obviously, signing a Justin Simmons means you're going to go a lot cheaper and more on the youthful side at the actual quarterback position. But, if they're able to, that maybe shifts their focus. And I know a lot of fans are, no, you got to go edge, but that might shift their focus in the draft to getting like a Kool-Aid McKinstry at 19 or one of these corners at 19, and maybe just adding another cheaper edge like a Van Ginkel, who you love, for cheap, and then maybe take a flyer on a mid-round edge guy as well. But at least you have a superstar at each level in Simmons, Jones, and Donald. So it's not likely they'll do it, but the Rams have gone to the Broncos well before, not just in trades, but in free agency. It seems that there's a connection there between both organizations. And so there'll probably be some chatter. Not that they need to, he's a free agent, but I'm sure there'll be some conversations. And so we'll see. But that would, to me, would be a home run if they can get Justin Simmons.
Yeah. And you're saying around $11 million is what you'll get for a year out of Justin Simmons?
That's what I'm guessing. I mean, he was an $18 million cap hit to the Broncos. I think he was $18 million cap hit, but he was due like $16 million salary or something like that. It's always confusing how these contracts work, but based on the market now, I could see him getting 9 to 10 because there's 11 high profile name guys out there. He's at the top, but
yeah. Kyle Duggar and Antoine Winfield are off the market. So yeah, I mean, it's
you look at both the Buffalo guys, Poyer and Micah Hyde have value there. Both the Seahawks guys, I definitely do not want a Jamal Adams here in LA, but Quandre Diggs, I think, is a good player that will get sought after by some. But if you're looking at a Quandre Diggs for $7 million, pay the 10 or 11 for Justin Simmons.
I'm kind of curious what Kevin Byard will go for. I really liked that guy when he was with Tennessee. So, I mean, he could fall dramatically because he had kind of a down season last year, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good, and that's a really good name to keep an eye on too, because especially from Tennessee, they just got Stretch, right? So he's little familiarity. Wait, not Ostriker. What's his actual name?
Striker, I think is.
I think it's Striker.
Yeah, how you pronounce it. It's yeah.
But Coach Stretch, as known with the nickname, but yeah, he was he comes from Tennessee, so maybe he'll have some insight in value since he's an analytics guy in Byard. So that's a good name to watch for.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the only other position we haven't really talked free agency in is running back.
Yes, let's get into running back because this is a fun combo because the most Les Snead thing possible. We're all talking about positional value, where to spend the money. Like, okay, you can spend big at these positions, but you gotta go cheap here. Only focus on the draft. And seemingly the Rams, for the last 4 or 5 years, ever since Todd Gurley, have gone with we're going to just draft a running back every year and kind of rinse and repeat. And once that one we've drafted reaches the end of their contract, well, guess what? We have another one that's stepping up because they've been drafted. I mean, they've Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, Kyren Williams. They will probably still draft another one. But all that being said, it would be the most Les Snead thing ever if all of a sudden they decide to go pay $12 million and get Saquon Barkley, or $12 million and get Derrick Henry or something. But give me your thoughts first. What's the thought on this RB market and how active you think the Rams will be?
I mean, I hope the top end isn't 12. I hope that's not the case. Yeah. It seems like they're in an offensive frame of mind. We didn't talk about it at the top, but they just added another offensive assistant coach today, a tight ends coach from, I want to call him Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. That was his last job. Jerry Shulpinski. He's got his pedigree is New England Patriots. He's also another John Carroll guy. Apparently, he played football with Nick Caserio and
John Carroll.
And their former offensive coordinator. But they could just be leaning into offense. So like you said, it's just you can never tell with Snead which way he's going to go. Especially now, he's got a first round pick just burning a hole in his pocket. Not that he would use that in free agency, but just to say that he's got everything at his disposal. He's got money in the bank, and he's got a first round pick just waiting there for him. And
it's too easy for him. He doesn't have to get creative. This is weird.
And there's really intriguing names in free agency this year that I would love to see in the backfield. I've always wondered what it would look like to have a pass catcher in this current iteration of McVay's offense. And you've got Austin Eckler out there, who didn't have a good last year. Could have been just been the dumpster fire that was the Chargers season. But they couldn't figure anything out. So I don't know what to chalk it up as. Tony Pollard also didn't have a good year last year as this first time in the lead back, but he wouldn't be the lead back. He would be a complementary piece to Kyren Williams, another pass catcher. So those are a couple of guys that are, that second tier, get them a bit cheaper, I would imagine. And then you kind of go down the row from there, taking a stab at J.K. Dobbins. He's been hurt. He's just been completely derailed by injuries his whole career. But, really intriguing speed and explosiveness when he came out of college. There was one other guy. Another one that kind of fell off. Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
Just 2 years ago, he was over 1,000 yards rusher. They draft Brian Robinson, and he kind of loses his job. And, again, if you want to talk about a dumpster fire, Commanders offense over the last few years, it's, you can't really trust exactly what the product was that came out of there.
Yeah.
So, those last two guys you could probably get at, pennies on the dollar, and just to try them out.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting to see. I mean, so let me ask you this, then I'll give some names I like. Like, do you in any way, shape, or form think the Rams go after, we'll call them the big four right now: Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and the aforementioned Saquon Barkley? Do you see any, and I'm not saying whether you think it's smart or not, do you just think there's any way Les Snead kind of plays his poker hand and goes for one of these big four?
I would lean that they are the forward-thinking front office, and that they are in kind of the running backs don't matter camp, and that you're not going to give a running back that's over 25 any amount of money. That's what I would bet. But, perhaps the market has shifted so much that he sees it as an inefficiency that he can take advantage of. And things have been trending in that way, where teams with really good running games have been able to dominate in the league.
Yeah.
So, but the guys that are at the top of that list aren't on those teams that have dominated. So, it's going to be a really telling year, I feel like, to see who invests in the running backs. If smart teams go after them, I'm going to stand up and take notice.
Yeah.
And the Rams are among them.
Yeah. Yeah. They're among those smart teams. Like, the only one that I could see being in play would be a Saquon Barkley, just because of the upside. Like, Tony Pollard, I think they can get fairly cheap, and obviously he's a great pass catcher, but I don't think he's giving you a ton. Like, why take the ball out of Kyren Williams' hands for a Tony Pollard, right? Like, obviously they're going to need another back anyway to split time. Gone are the days of a running back getting 30 plus touches a game. But I just don't see a Tony Pollard giving him that huge ceiling aside him. Josh Jacobs is, to me, just too inconsistent. He's the youngest of the group at 26. Sometimes he looks great. Sometimes he's not there. And again, it's been a dumpster fire with the Raiders as well, and changes on offense. So part of that is just his fault. Derrick Henry, King Henry's great, but he's on the other side of 30, and that's just not, I think, the Rams' direction they'll go in. So of that group, Saquon's the one guy, 27. This will be his last real contract, so I'm sure he's going to try to chase some money. But he's the one guy that in his prime can be a game changer. I'm not saying I would do it, because I am full in line. I think we're in agreement of this kind of rinse and repeat draft cycle. We love Kyren Williams. I would rather just draft another running back this year. It's a fairly good class they can get in the mid rounds. But it would not shock me if Les Snead gets that little twinkle in his eye, and Sean McVay gets that twinkle and said, remember what could have been had Todd Gurley stayed healthy. Remember the year we had when he was in MVP form. If we can have Kyren Williams and a healthy Saquon Barkley with Stafford, Kupp,
and
Puka, Dotson, imagine what we can do on offense. Like, I could just see them sitting in not the war room yet, because it won't be draft, but sitting in whatever, Malibu, drinking wine, whatever they do in their off days, and just dreaming up what they could do with Saquon Barkley in this offense. So of all those guys, not saying I would do it, but that's the one I could see them potentially surprising people, and we get here Monday morning that Barkley's coming to LA.
No Eckler. You can't see Eckler on the team.
I see that personally better because it'd be more affordable. Barkley's still, I mean, he'll probably get between 8 and 10, I bet, depending, unless no one's bidding on a running back. Eckler, because of last year, because he tried to go get more money and kind of got screwed over by that. I mean, you're going to be able to get him for 3 to 5, I bet. And I think he fits in because he does give you a little difference from what Kyren Williams is. So I would take Eckler over any of the other 3, Jacobs, Henry, Pollard, because I think Eckler you can get for cheap. Get him on a 2-3 year deal. If he gives you one good year, then I think you won on that if you get them for that value. So I would like that. The other ones I'll just throw out, and we're getting up in time here on radio. But I wanted to throw a few out that could be also interesting that they could get on the cheap. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is one I want to get your thoughts on, Skinny T. And this will kind of wrap us up, at least on radio. We might go a little longer for podcast. So basically we'll tease this on radio. So I'll give you the whole background, and then we'll have to end on radio, and everyone will have to come to LAFBnetwork.com to hear the rest. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire obviously won a natty at LSU with Joe Burrow and that tremendous offense. He has some twitch. He's got some speed. He's good between the tackles. He's still only 25, which, is already getting up there with running backs. But of the lot, he's pretty much the youngest back on the market at 25 and has the pedigree of being a former first-round pick, but has zero production. So one, has zero production, meaning his market value is going to be way down. This is a guy you can probably get for $1 million, $2 million. And 2, doesn't have a lot of tread in his tires. I mean, came in and all of a sudden got replaced pretty quickly in Kansas City. And so doesn't have a lot of wear and tear. And so can come in and be that secondary back to Kyren Williams and bring some versatility there. So taking a break on radio, head to LFBnetwork.com to hear the thoughtful answer from our Skinny T. Everyone have a blessed weekend for all you listening on 1090. But Skinny T, your thoughts on Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
I mean, there are plenty of running backs entered the NFL with great production out of college, accolades out of college, and then just fall off and never to be heard from again. And that's what I'm chalking up Clyde Edwards-Helaire to. You got to be able to see it, and he played on one of the great teams of the last 4 years. He was on the Kansas City Chiefs. And obviously they're not a run first team. They got Patrick Mahomes. He's kind of an afterthought, but they invested pretty good draft capital in him. I think he was the 32nd pick that year.
Mm-hmm. First round, yeah.
So it's, if you don't see it in that first contract, I just don't see it there. I don't think he offers enough versatility from Kyren. Kyren's a little bit taller. They're both about 5'8", I would say.
Yeah.
Ryan size. Yeah, exactly. Neither particularly speedy. If he had some sort of like blazing speed, I could see it, but I just haven't seen anything from him that I'm checking the mark. And if nobody signed him and he's kind of hanging out there and wants to take kind of a prove it contract, he'll look good behind Dotson. I can tell you that much. I think just about any back's going to look good there.
Boom. That's why they invested, Skinny T. That's why they invested $16 million per year in Dotson. So any back will look good running behind those nice thighs. Didn't think I'd be able to get that in. All right. Last thing, we'll wrap up. Last name I want to throw at you, and we'll be done here. Another name that intrigues me a bit, just because it's a pure size difference from Kyren Williams. A.J. Dillon out of Green Bay. Talk about tree trunks for thighs and a bruiser. That gives you your different type of back. Now, obviously, he's not going to give you a lot in pass catching, so they'll have to lean on Kyren more for that aspect, which I think he can be good at. He just hasn't been used a ton in it. But A.J. Dillon would be your true short yardage bruiser, which we've said Kyren can do, but obviously the size of A.J. Dillon just gives you a little more confidence maybe in some of that. So your thoughts on Dillon?
Really consistent guy, really consistent runner, and he's remained healthy. He had a quad injury that knocked him out of the playoffs a couple years ago. I can't remember exactly when it happened. But really durable, and that's something like that next to Kyren Williams is that you want somebody durable. And yeah. I like big running backs, and I cannot lie. Jesus, that was terrible. I'm sorry.
There's some big dad energy, and you're not even a dad yet.
Oh God, I apologize. I imagine our buddy Jason's gonna have a field day with that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cook something up with that one.
You'll be turned into Fergie now on the whole simulator thing. You look good with blonde hair, I guess.
I in a similar vein, I'm kind of intrigued by Gus Edwards. Big bruiser back. So.
Yeah, you wrote about that for the Chargers, but I think he's a good fit for the Rams too.
Yeah, I think just kind of an old school back, and cool. I'm for big running backs and seeing what happens. God,
clearly.
Yeah, well, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, mic drop there. So, no, that'll be good. So let us know, guys, what you think. What do you think about safeties? Well, first, what do you think about the Dotson contract? Seems like, at least on Twitter, it's pretty unanimous. Everyone's pretty ecstatic with him coming back and bringing that continuity back. What do you guys think about the safety market? Should the Rams just re-sign who they got, John Johnson, Jordan Fuller? Should they go get and pay a hefty price for a Justin Simmons? And what do you think about the running back room? They're going to add someone, whether it's free agency, the draft, or both. They've got to add someone there to play alongside Kyren Williams. Do we go after a big name? Do you take one of these big bodied backs, but for lesser money? Do you wait just for the draft and take one or two with your 11 picks there in the draft? Let us know what you guys think. Hit us up on Twitter at Ryan Dowd LAFB, at RL Anderson LAFB, at LAFB Network is the main account. You can drop comments on the websites, or obviously if you're on YouTube, just drop a comment below. I need to do a better job of responding to those. So if you are commenting, keep it up. I will start responding.
I'll hop on there too.
There you go. Skinny T can respond too. So help me out there. But we appreciate you guys. Thanks for the support. Free agency kicks off Monday morning, the 11th. Like I said, we might be going live Monday, so look out for that. But we'll have plenty of coverage over at LAFBnetwork.com. For Skinny T, I'm Ryan Dowd. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Everyone have a blessed weekend. Talk to you all Monday.